Hello everyone, hope you are well on this Sunday afternoon. I'm going to talk about weird Walmart renovations. I'm also going to talk about some other things that subscribers and we have been observing, especially in retail stores here lately. I'm also going to share two big awareness alerts that you need to know about, especially if you're going to be traveling this season, this summer. And of course, I'll have a very good passage verse to share with you here towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But first, I had a comment from a subscriber, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, talking about how, and we were talking about how inflation is hurting and affecting just about everybody. And she was talking about a craft show and how the artisans and the vendors in this particular craft show were really voicing concerns and voicing some frustrations about their lack of sales. This was in South Carolina, and it was a large craft type festival. And the commenter said that there was a big turnout, so a lot of people walking around, a lot of people looking at things. However, a lot of the vendors around her were saying things like, I'm not selling near as much as I used to. There are a lot of people here, but I'm not really able to move much here. They're just feeling that pinch of inflation. Now, this was artisans and a craft show. It was like farmers market as well. So people were selling stuff from their gardens. And like I said, big turnout, but it looked like people were cutting back on their spending overall. I mean, they were there, just not spending a lot. So also bakers were there, and one commented about how they usually sell a lot more of their stuff, and they just aren't here lately. So another indication that people are cutting back, people are feeling this ever increasing inflation because everything is just going up, and this was anything from, like I said, just artistic type things that people make, painted goods, woodwork, all that kind of stuff, as well as some vegetables and, stuff you would see in a festival, outdoor festival, craft show. And we, Mrs. Dawg and I attend those on occasion as well, especially in the spring, especially in the fall. In the spring, we have noticed very similar. We go to some that are around our area here, and we have noticed that there are a good many people walking around, but they're just not buying much. They're not carrying many things, maybe one or two things. And I noticed right off that, especially this here recently, is that the longest lines at any station, any vendor, was food or coffee, especially if it was a little cool weather. People were lining up for the coffee or the free samples, or certain foods, but they weren't buying other stuff, so stuff like the vegetables, tea, soap, other stuff, stuff like that. So it was interesting, an interesting observation. Share what you think, or share what you have seen. Do you attend these things, and what are you noticing? I think we probably have noticed similar in other stores, even some place like Walmart, or especially somewhere like Home Depot or Lowe's, to where I see people in there. I don't see people with a cart full of stuff or very many things. They're just going with one or two things that they need, The only exception to that might be right at the beginning of the spring when people were grabbing a lot of soil or stuff for their garden, but it just depends. Walmart, another observation from some of you guys is that weird Walmart renovations. So, and I think we've noticed the same thing, but this particular one was saying that about 75% of the checkout lanes now are self-checkout, and that, and they're on the ends. If you look at the front end of the store, they're on both ends as far as a lot of self-checkout. And in the middle, there's just a very small sections where where they have human cashiers, and there's only just a few of them, so it's kind of hard to get through there and get out and get checked out by a human. We have seen very similar. And this person also described it as a strange feel, just a weird, uh, difference in there. And that was talking about Walmart. Like I said, we have seen similar, especially at the Walmart that's closest to us, to where on the both ends of the front end of the store, there's a lot of self-checkouts. There's the scan and go thing where you can, put your item on there, scan it, and it'll take it down the conveyor belt. And if you have a partner, if you don't, then you have to walk down afterwards and bag it yourself. And we believe, and I agree with the commenter saying that soon this will be 100% in most places, to where you will not see a human cashier. The same as, and this just popped in my head, I think we're coming soon to a day where you will, the brick and mortar bank locations, they're going to close. It's all going to be online, and that's a little scary. But back to Walmart, we've noticed similar in our store, in the stores close to us, and I've noticed similar. We've noticed it at a Kroger, the Kroger that's closest to us. It's very close, so we go there quite often. But similar kind of setup. It's interesting because on the ends, you got the self checkouts on the end, near the entrances, and in the middle of the store, there's just like 3 human cashiers, so they're clogged up most of the time. 4 at the most, and that's just peak times. I would think that this would increase shoplifting, though. I mean, if you're going to almost 100% self checkout, unless they're able to really monitor it better. I mean, I don't know how much, if they pay much attention, how close they're detailed they're looking at everything, but don't know. But we've noticed a similar, like I said, at Kroger. Okay. Big alert status, and I saw this was a short video I watched earlier today or this morning. It was a woman who said that she was traveling from Florida to the Northeast. I forgot where in the Northeast, but she was where she had this incident was in South Georgia, of course, Georgia. But on ice, she was traveling I-75, and in a kind of a remote section of South Georgia, she had noticed for quite a while that there was a white truck with a male driver following her for quite a while. Now, I know on an interstate that's going to happen, but she was noticing is that she was speeding up or she was slowing down, and this truck kept pace. It didn't pass her. So it was obvious that it was following her. Okay, so when she realized that was the case, she slowed way down. She put a camera, like a video camera, up, and this guy had his window down looking at her. And when she put her video camera up, like she was recording him, she said he sped off and got off at the next exit with 2 other trucks right behind him. She didn't notice the other 2 trucks. She was so concentrated on the one that was following her, she couldn't see the ones behind him. How about that? I mean, she said she was so scared her hands were shaking trying to get the video, the recorder up to let him see it. It was a good move. Other than that, I would say, gosh, call the police or find the closest or go to the closest police station, fire station. But it worked for her. And she was aware, so it was a good thing she was alert and aware and noticed this happening. So be careful out there, especially if you're driving alone, even if you're not driving alone. Be aware of who's following you, especially if you're going home from a big haul or buying some stuff. Just pay attention to who's been behind you for a while. It may not be nothing to it, but if they've been behind you for a while and they're starting to come in the neighborhood behind you, do not go to your home. Circle back out, get out of there, and go to a police station, fire station, somewhere else. Call 911. So just be aware of that. Also, I saw a report where there's increase in robberies at gas stations, and I talk about that periodically, but always be aware at gas stations. What's happening is people get out and start pumping their gas, and they don't pay attention, or they get back in the car. I see this a lot. They get back in the car while the gas is pumping, and somebody could come up on the other side of them, and they never see it, or somebody would come up on the passenger side rear door and kneel, crouch down, open it up, and access the car that way, and they don't even see it happening. So pumping your gas, I would recommend staying outside and just, stand and to where you can have your head on a swivel and look all around, and if people are walking around, look at them, make sure they know that you see them, and close your vehicle while you're pumping gas and lock it, make it harder on them. They'll go to somebody else. They'll go to an easier target. All right. So be aware of that as well. Okay. I have a first share. If I can get it straightened up here. This is from Joshua. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Amen. How many times in the Bible do we see it said or paraphrased? Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. Let not your heart be troubled. We can be concerned. We can be cautious about things. We can take action. We can pray. But we don't have to worry ourselves sick. We don't have to. I know it's difficult. We're human. We're going to worry. But I think there's a reason that it is said so many times. Do not worry. So let's keep that in mind. Share your thoughts. Share your thoughts on your observations out there in the retail land, and if you've in your travels, that's interesting. We would appreciate it. Let's take care. God bless you. I'll see you soon.